music tells me it's story time. Come close by the pond, little ones. The spring's in full swing out here. The willows heavy and green, and everything, just about everywhere you look, is busy as can be. Here's the question I'd like you holding while I tell it. When everyone is rushing past the big, loud, important things, who looks after the small thing that nobody else even sees? And does that small thing matter, way down there in the mud where no one's looking? Hold on to that. The answer's in the story, and I believe God tucked it in there a long while before any of us thought to ask. It happened on a bright spring morning, the kind where the whole creek wakes up with a to-do list as long as your arm. Down at the dam, paws were patching and packing. Out on the meadow, the planting was on. Seeds in, soil patted, the whole field going in before the warm spell turned. And right up the middle of it all ran the main path. You know the one, the path everybody uses, the path everybody hurries down, 20 times a day, eyes front, places to be. Now, somebody was not hurrying that morning. Somebody small and grey and quiet had stopped stock still in the middle of all that rushing and was looking down at something in the mud, with her head tipped to one side. And over from the high rocks, soft as a leaf settling, came Quilla the chinchilla, the one who notices the things the rest of us go right past. She crouched down low, and she said,
"Well now, look at you, right in the middle of the busiest path in the whole creek. One little flower, knocked flat in the mud, gray with footprints, and still trying. Still got one petal up, looking at the sun."
And before she could say another word, down the path came Bongo the bear cub, with his usual cheerful crash, a wobbling stack of planting buckets piled up past his ears. He couldn't see over them, but that never stopped Bongo. He boomed,
"Quilla, big day! Huge day! We're planting the whole meadow before the warm spell turns. You can't stand still. There's no standing still allowed today. It's a no standing still kind of morning. So come on!"
"Mind your big foot, little bear. There's a flower down here. And a bee on it."
A flower? Where? Oh, that little squashed brown thing? Quilla, that's not a flower. That's a flower that already gave up. It quit. Big day. Buckets. Bye.
and off he crashed, and crashed right into the planting poles, which went down like a row of dominoes, every last one of them, all the way down the path.
I meant to do that. That's faster, actually. They're all down now. Super easy to grab. You're welcome, everybody.
Quick behind him, going so fast she was 3 places at once, came Zippy the hummingbird, ticking off a list mid-air without landing once. She zipped straight through the falling poles and squeaked,
Okay. Spring tidy status update. Dam, 60% done. Meadow, 40% and climbing. Path, clear and fast, which is the whole idea of a path, except Quilla, you're a path blockage. You're at 0% moving. The path flow index is dropping and you're the dropping. Please drop less. This is a high traffic morning.
Your index can wait, little fast one. The bee can. What where you buzz?
and high overhead, all bright feathers and big, bold drama, sat Ga-Ring-Go the parrot. He flung out a wing so wide he nearly fell off the branch, and he called down,
"Behold, the great spring bustle, the day the creek does the big things, the mighty dam, the vast meadow, the glorious tidy, Wait, Quilla, what in the wide green world are you doing crouched down there in the mud?"
Tending a small thing, theatrical one. The smallest thing on this whole loud morning. Somebody ought to keep an eye on it, and nobody else is going to.
A small thing on the day of big things? Quilla, nobody will ever know. There's no audience down there. There's no crowd. There's no cheer. There's a bee. There's just one bee. A parrot needs a stage, Quilla. Onward to glory.
OK, adding it to the list. Glory, pending. Stage, requested. Audience for Ga Ring Go. 0 right now, which is the very same as Quilla's flower. So really, you two have the same numbers.
We do not have the same numbers. Do we have the same numbers? Onward, before the math catches me.
And last of all, slow and steady at the edge of it, came Shelley the tortoise, the one who watches everything and says almost nothing. She didn't hurry. She never does. She looked at the flower, and she looked at the whole rushing morning, and she said just this.
Everyone is running to plant a whole meadow. And nobody's watering the one flower that's already here.
Somebody is, Shelley, starting right now.
And up the rest of them went, into the big busy day, and the bustle swallowed them whole. And Quilla stayed. She didn't make a speech about it. She didn't call anybody back to watch. She just looked at that one battered bloom and that one tired bee, and she got quietly to work. Now here's the part nobody saw, because nobody was looking. While the whole creek banged and planted and hurried up and down that path, Quilla knelt in the mud beside it and did small things. No crowd, no cheering, no Ga Ring Go announcing it. Just her and the flower and the morning and the work. And maybe, though she never said so, the quiet sense that God was right there in the small of it with her. On the first morning, she built it a little fence. 3 twigs leaned together over the bloom, so the next big foot would step around instead of on. She pressed each one in slow and tested it and pressed it again.
There. 1, 2, 3. A little wall so the busy world steps wide of view. Nobody trips a flower they can see.
On the second morning, the mud had gone dry and cracked and thirsty. So she carried water in a curled leaf all the way from the creek, and it spilled. Most of it, halfway across, soaked clean into the path. So she went back, and she curled the leaf tighter, and she carried it slower, holding her breath the whole way. And this time, it held.
Slower then. The little ones don't need a flood. They need a sip, and somebody who'll come back tomorrow and bring the next one. That's how God tends things too, I think. A little, faithfully, every day.
And on the third morning, and the fourth, and the fifth, she just came. Before the bustle woke up, before any foot hit the path, before the dam tapping even started, Quilla was there. A twig nudged straight, a sip of water from the curled leaf, a look to be sure the bee still had somewhere to land. That was all. That was the whole of it, every single morning. And then, on about the 6th morning, somebody finally noticed her. At the edge of the clearing, soft-eyed and quiet, stood Fern the fawn, who'd been watching 3 days now and hadn't said a word. She came a step closer, and she whispered,
Quilla? You come every single morning, before everyone, and the flower's not even pretty yet. It's still kind of gray. Why do you keep doing it when nobody sees?
Oh, little fawn, come sit by me. Watch with me a minute, and I'll tell you the true answer, not the pretty one. I'll tell you the truth, Fern. Some mornings it does feel small. The dam gets cheered, the meadow gets a whole song. And me? I'm a gray chinchilla in the mud, with one flower nobody's even named. There's a morning, there's always a morning, where you kneel down here in the cold and you think, why am I out here? Nobody would even know if I stopped. The flower wouldn't write me a thank you note. The bee wouldn't notice for a week.
So why don't you stop?
Because it's mine to keep, little one. Somebody put a living thing right in the path where everybody hurries past it. And that morning, that somebody got to be me, deciding it mattered when no one else did. And I think God sees it too. The small, kept thing, the quiet keeping, even when there's not a single soul watching but Him. So you don't tend a small thing so somebody claps for you, Fern. You tend it because it's alive, and it's near you, and it's yours to keep. That's the whole of why. The keeping is the reason.
And it was right then, soft as anything, that I'd wandered up the path myself, looking the way I do for the quiet part of a loud day. I didn't say much. I just sat down nearby, and I asked the one thing I'd been wondering all week. Fern, you've watched her 6 mornings now. What do you think she's really been growing out here? The flower or something else?
Both, I think. She was growing the flower, and the flower was growing her into the kind of friend who keeps coming back, who doesn't need anybody to see, to keep doing the good thing.
Now, you'd think that's the end of it. Quiet chinchilla, quiet flower, nice and small, and off to bed. But spring had a turn left in it, because a hard late frost came creeping through one night, the kind that comes after everybody has stopped expecting it, and it bit the new meadow. Bit it cruel. By morning, nearly every fresh bloom the whole busy creek had planted stood brown and bowed and bitten. And a long, worried silence rolled down the path. All that planting, all that hurry, all those big things, and the cold had undone them in one night. The bees came out into the grey morning, and there was nothing open for them, nothing at all, nothing to drink, nowhere to land, no seed to carry. The whole bright spring just stalled. And down the main path, the worried creek came. Bongo, Zippy, Garingo, Shelley, the whole bustle, walking slow now, looking for one green thing the frost had missed. And there, fenced in 3 little leaning twigs, watered every morning by somebody who never once stopped, stood one bloom, open, bright, wide awake, and alive with bees.
It's the squashed one. The one I said gave up. The one I said quit. Quilla. It's the only one left in the whole creek. And the bees. Look, the bees are taking it everywhere.
Okay. Rechecking the math. 1 bloom, surviving, times every single bee carrying its seed dust out to the bare meadow, times every bare patch they touch down on, equals... Oh, Quilla, your 0% flower is reseeding the entire field. By itself. That's not small. My index was wrong. The index was so wrong. I am deleting the index.
Behold the small thing. I declare the dam. I declare the meadow. I declare the glorious tidy. And the whole spring was saved by one flower I flapped straight over without looking down. Friends, I have been very, very big about all the wrong sizes.
Funny. The biggest thing in the meadow today is the smallest one.
She kept it when it was nothing. That's the whole reason it's something now.
And so it turned. While the rest of us were busy being big, our grey friend kept one small thing faithfully. morning after morning, with nobody watching at all. And the small kept thing is exactly what carried the whole spring through. You know, there's a line about this in the Bible. It's something Jesus told the people listening to him, written down in a book called Luke, chapter 16, verse 10. And it goes like this: "He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much."
What's that mean, old timber? Faithful in the least? Faithful in the much? That's a lot of big old words.
Ah, it is, little bear. So here's the plain of it. Faithful in that which is least means you can be trusted with the smallest thing of all, the one nobody else even bothers to see. And faithful also in much means that same quiet keeping, done over and over, is the very thing big trust is built out of. The small faithful thing and the big one are made of the same stuff, little bear. So God sees the small kept thing, the one nobody else even sees. And sometimes, when we're not even looking, he grows it into the very thing everybody needed.
So here's a thing to carry home, little ones. There's a small good work near you right now that nobody's clapping for. A plant on a windowsill, a friend who's quiet today, a job that no one will ever thank you for. Tend it anyway, keep it, come back to it tomorrow. The keeping is the whole of it, and God sees every bit of it, even when no one else does.
That's how I remember it anyway. Good night, little ones. And from his perch on the lecture branch swooped Professor Hoot, the most certain owl in Shiloh Creek. He cleared his throat, ahem, and announced,
"Children, gather round. Today, a fact known to be true, beyond all doubt, and tied, you'll be glad to hear, to all that small, quiet tending our gray friend did this morning. Here it is plainly. The nuthatch is the one small bird that climbs down a tree trunk, head first, face to the ground, the wrong way around to every other bird in the wood. Now, why should that matter to anyone? Because going down head first, the little nuthatch sees the bark from an angle every other bird misses. And so it spots dinner tucked away in a crevice. A crevice, that is merely a fancy word for a tiny crack. A tiny crack the up-climbers flapped straight past without a second glance. The small, easy-to-miss angle, you see, is precisely where the patient little nuthatch finds the supper. Everyone else walked right by. It will even tuck a seed into that little crack and come back for it, days later, faithful as a clock. Pardon, as I was saying. Class dismissed.
And then, plip-plop down from the lily pads came the Mud Puppy brothers. Splish, splash, and splosh. 3 frogs and 1 chorus of confusion. Splosh started.
Today on Mud Puppy Minute, we will explain. Why do the stars only come out at night?
Easy. The stars only come out at night because they are nocturnal. Like owls, they sleep all day in a big star drawer, and at bedtime somebody slides the drawer open. Out they pop.
No, the stars are always up there. You just can't see them in the daytime because the sun is so bright it washes them right out. Then the sun goes down, the sky goes dark, and there they are. Wait, that sounded smart. Did I just do a smart?
Oh, no. Splash, that's far too easy. Stars in the daytime? Nonsense. I'd have tripped over one. Mud puppies. We have solved it. The stars come out at night because that's when the moon turns them on. Big switch. Click. The end.
Now, just so you've got it straight, little ones, the stars are up there all the time, day and night. We only see them once the sky goes dark because the sun's bright light hides them in the daytime. Splash had it for 1 shining second there. That's the real answer, but let's let the frogs keep their big moon switch.
See you next time. somewhere in Shiloh Creek.